It's like you have the Grand Slam, the Tan Slam, or, I mean, I quite like the Tandy Slam.
Nick Tandy, welcome to the second of our feature interviews this season. You just did a little something at Daytona that was rather amazing.
Yeah, boy.
We're going to get to that in just a little bit, but I want to start with the Tandy family. You, your brother, racers, talented racers, your family supporting you. Tell folks about where you grew up and where racing first came into your lives.
So we're a farming family, basically. So there was two boys, me and my brother, growing up on this farm in the middle of England. You know, lots of land, lots of equipment, lots of machines, and you know, like any young boy or young person, you know, you tend to get up to mischief and go and pick up, you know, motorbikes and dirt bikes and cars and stuff and just mess around with anything with an engine. And then of course when there's two of you, it always becomes a race, whether it's on, you know, push bikes or anything with that's motorized. And my father raced also. So he raced on the UK stock car tracks, quarter-mile tracks in the UK, since, you know, from when I was born. And, you know, every weekend we'd go and I'd watch my dad race. And naturally, you know, the pair of us wanted to race. So 11 years old, the class we were allowed to race, you were allowed at 10, but my mum thought we were probably too small because the age group was 10 to 17. So you've got some tiny little 10-year-olds racing against fully grown adults at 17. So she didn't allow us to race at 10, but we both started when we were 11. My brother Joe was 2 years my senior. Yeah, and we went racing and we never stopped.
I love the fact that we know you as Nick Tandy, road racer supreme, one of the finest in the world. And where'd you get your start? Ovals, short dirt ovals and whatnot, mini stocks. You shared some great photos. I'm looking at those going, those look like little death traps, but family tradition, and you and your brother Joe took to them right away. What made sense to you about them?
I mean, at the time, it was all we knew because, like I say, I'd never been to a full-size circuit. You know, I rarely watched any F1 or stuff like that. I'd never seen a go-kart. From 11 years old, you're racing a full-size car. So they were a little Austin, you know, minis,
Yeah.
you know, with full, you know, crash protection because it was a full contact formula.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're allowed to and encouraged to, you know, smash into everyone. But you're learning to drive and race in full-size cars from 11 years old, and that was the great thing about it. And you know, we used to race in the summer holidays. We'd sometimes go out 3 times a week.
Wow.
You know, and there's three races a night at these various, you know, stock car stadiums around the UK, and you know, it was such a great time. The racing was always so good because you get 20-30 cars on track. You start based on your points position in the championship, let's say, with the highest point scorers at the back. So you're constantly, and you know, if once we got into it and started winning, we would always start at the back of the grid.
That explains a lot.
So you'd have to, every race, if you wanted to win, and we won quite a lot, you had to drive through all 20 or 30 cars, every race. And the final, the same thing. You know, you start right at the back of the grid and you've got to drive through 20 cars. And this is all the time. And it's, yeah, it was just a great grounding. And honestly, it's still the most fun racing that I know of. If I go and watch motorsport in the UK, I go and watch stock car racing.
It's brilliant. So you show a lot of talent, have a lot of success, and get on to what is the common path of junior open wheel racing. Also have a cool business development at the time where Joe Tandy Racing is formed. Young Nick Tandy competing, driving for your brother, have success there. Your brother as well, Formula Palmer Audi champion. So here the two of you going upward, then have something that really did change your life and career, losing your brother. we've spoken about this plenty before. You continue to honor your brother Joe and always will, JTR in your helmet. How are you now, Nick, years later, grown, family man, this established champion? Where does this loss sit with you? Is it less of a stinging thing? Has it ever become normalized to any degree?
I mean, what is time? Time is the difference. This is the thing. It's, you know, having been through that situation, I have spoken to other people that are, you know, that unfortunately that sort of thing happens to them, and I say, look, you know, nothing ever makes it better. Nothing ever changes it, but time makes it easier.
You've just got to keep waking up.
You just, life goes on, and that's the, you know, it's the good thing and the sad thing both at the same time, but life does go on. The good thing is that when he was around, you know, it shapes my life, and, you know, he changed my life. After his accident, you know, the Joe Tandy racing team, JTR, he always wanted to call it JTR. You know, and I think some people said when we carried the team on after, you know, do you want to kind of rebrand it as Joe Tandy Race? I said, no, look, he's the one I wanted to do it, to have it as JTR, you know, an acronym. But somebody said, you know, what are we going to do? Do you want to carry on racing and stuff? And I thought, you know, it would just be such a waste of everything he did to not carry on what he was planning and stuff like this. Like you say, he was a champion driver, but at one point it got so difficult for the pair of us to kind of to carry on each year and do the next step, and it was trying to fund it all. This was the problem. He took the decision to stop racing and set the team up. I mean, it's primarily for him. God, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But he had his first driver in mind, and that was me. So yeah, it's everything he did has led on to us sitting here talking today.
Transition into sports cars, become part of Porsche's world. Looking on your Facebook page, by the way, and your photos, please go take a look. Do not delete any of them. They're hilarious. Whether it's you dressed up as Captain Jack Sparrow for Halloween, you learning about Snapchat filters or whatever with a pig nose. Well, we got some great stuff we'll embarrass you with. But see your progression up through Porsche, Super Cup and whatnot. Of the many things that I'm so happy to have seen, one of them was being in Victory Lane in 2015 at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. You, Crazy Earl Bamber, Nico Hulkenberg, this great embrace on top of the car, winning overall for Porsche at Le Mans in 2015. Since then, adding overall 24-hour wins at the Nürburgring, Spa, and then, hey, you added a fourth, the first and only to win all four major, I know your tears coming out, all four major overall victory in 24-hour events here, the Rolex 24 at Daytona in January. You've had a little while for this to sink in. Tell me about the feeling of being the one and only, and I asked you to come up with a name for this, because we've got to name it. There's only one person to do it the first time, that's you, Nick Tandy.
I mean, it's just, well, it's got to be somebody, I don't know. It's like you have the Grand Slam, the Tan Slam, or, I mean, I quite like the Tandy Slam.
Tandy Slam.
The Tandy Slam is to be the first one to do anything, you know, let alone a sport where so many people compete. And don't get me wrong, you know, not everyone goes out there and tries to win all the 24-hour races. It's not like there's millions of people trying to do it, but there have been a lot of people competing in all these events at the same time or during their careers that have never won them all outright. And you know, it was something I never set out to do or thought about, and it wouldn't have changed my motivation going into Daytona this year if I hadn't won, you know, the other three. Don't get me wrong, but to have done that and completed the Tandy Slam, it's just mega.
And we were talking earlier that your Porsche teammate Lawrence Vantor could join the club if he were to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans in June. He'd be number 2 though. Sorry, Larry. Yeah. You know, the Larry Slam doesn't quite have a ring to it, but Tandy Slam it is. Let's close on this because we got to get you back to work here. You do one other thing that I love that is so unique and such a you thing. You are an artist behind the steering wheel also a bit of an artist when it comes to painting. You paint your own helmet, Nick Tandy. Show us this thing you've created. I think it's beautiful. But you didn't pay someone else to paint this.
Well,
you painted this.
This is the problem, you see, because I'm too tight to pay other people to do something I can do.
So it's because you're cheap.
It's like washing my own car, something like this. You know, I won't pay someone else to wash or cut my lawn. I won't pay someone else to do what
and it
what
is
I
thousands.
Can do.
If you're paying someone else, it's thousands. But amazing design you came up with, right? In
so
partnership?
I have help. Yeah. You know, I have people because I've always I say this to my wife. It's like I can do anything if I put my mind to with my hands. You know, I've come up and taught myself how to lay bricks and built patios and stuff like this, and plumbing and bits and pieces. What I can't do is design and think about stuff really well. So people help me with the design and stuff, and once I get it on kind of paper, then it's like I enjoy the process because it's so different to going racing.
There's a lot of time and effort that went into this.
JTR still, you see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and it's just something. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's probably a part of my personality. I guess I've been successful at racing because I have this single-minded view of just making sure everything can be as good as possible about when I'm driving in a car. And it's similar to this. It's like you always want to do the next one because it can always be slightly better, and you always want to improve. And it's like that. It's just a fun process. I mean, it takes forever. Yeah.
There's no one like you, Nick Tandy. We're thankful for that.
That's for sure.
That's a wrap.
Watch us this season on NBC and Peacock. Be sure to subscribe to IMSA on YouTube and enjoy our brand new IMSA Endurance Hour podcast. And if you're interested in digital activation in motorsports, visit IMSA.com/partnership.